Welcome, friends, for our nightly visit with the winter saints. Our saint today lived close to the present day. Many of you know her already, Rosa Parks. And she lived not over in the Middle East, where Jesus lived, but here in the United States. So let's make our way through our book to the story. Rosa Parks will not be moved. Stories are told about mighty warriors who conquer nations with guns and tanks, but some warriors carry no weapons. Some warriors are armed only with a dream and the will to make the dream come true. An African-American child, Rosa Parks, was born in Tuskegee, Alabama in 1913, just 50 years after the end of slavery in the United States. Though slavery had been abolished, life was still hard for African Americans. The idea that Black men and women were born to serve their white neighbors had deep roots in some people's minds. This idea was so strong that laws were enacted to keep Blacks and whites apart. Whites rode in the front of the bus, Blacks in the back. Whites used one public drinking fountain or restroom, and Blacks used another. This system was called segregation, and these laws were called separate but equal. But the restrooms and the drinking fountains were never equal. Maybe white children weren't told just why they couldn't drink from the colored-only fountain. Maybe Black children weren't told just why they couldn't use the whites-only restroom at the local department store. But children must have learned very early that to do such things would make serious trouble. To cross that line would be to declare war on a way of life that ordered people by skin color, whites on top, Blacks on the bottom. Rosa grew up. Her parents hoped their only child would finish high school. They thought she might even go on to college. But Rosa's mother fell ill, and Rosa dropped out of school to care for her. Still, she never stopped learning. She studied the works of Mohandas Gandhi and became a student of nonviolent protest and of peaceful change. And she became ever more convinced that life for Blacks in the United States had to change. Not someday, but in her lifetime. Rosa became a tailor's assistant in Montgomery, Alabama. Every day she rode the bus to work, and every day she rode the bus home again. So did most of the Black workers in Montgomery. What Rosa saw made her angry. The buses of Montgomery were divided into 3 sections, the rear for Blacks, the front for whites, and a middle row of seats called no man's land. If the back of the bus was full and if no whites needed the seats in the middle, Blacks were allowed to ride in no man's land. But if white riders boarded the bus and found the white section full, then the driver would say to Black passengers in the middle, "Give me those seats." Even though Blacks and whites paid the same fare, and even though a Black passenger had claimed the seat first, if a white person wanted the seat, Blacks had to move. Rosa and her friends spent hours before and after church services planning a way to make the bus system of Montgomery treat all its riders fairly. They knew that more Blacks than whites rode buses. They knew that if the Blacks of the community all agreed to stop riding a bus line, to boycott a bus line, it would hurt the company and call attention to demands for fair treatment. But what event would bring the Black community together in such an action? Brave Rosa agreed to be the one to strike the spark. On December 1st, 1955, a weary Rosa Parks left work and boarded the bus for home. She had given birth to a daughter just 2 weeks before. She had worked a full day. She needed to sit down. She took a seat in the no man's land section. The bus was full, and the driver noticed a white man standing beside her. He told all the Black passengers in the middle seats to get up. Rosa politely refused. She said, "I'm not in the white section, I'm in no man's land." The driver answered, "The white section is wherever I say it is." Then he threatened to arrest her. Rosa must have been afraid, but she knew her cause was just. She said, "Do what you have to do. I am not moving." Rosa Parks was arrested. Her arrest set off a bus boycott in Montgomery that lasted 381 days. It was the beginning of the end of legal segregation in the United States. Amen. I'll see you tomorrow.